Okay, so now I want to finish off by just talking a little bit about how you compile, build and run ASTRA code. So the first thing I want to talk about is the way that ASTRA code is compiled. So when ASTRA code is compiled, it starts off with these source files, these .astra files. And what the ASTRA compiler does is it generates Java code from the ASTRA code. So the ASTRA code is a domain-specific language. It's an abstract description of the system, and that code is compiled down into Java code. And in fact, the Java code that's created, the Java class has the same name as the ASTRA program, the ASTRA class, and essentially the code is compiled from, say, tower.astra into tower.java, and once the code is in Java format, then the Java compiler is used to convert to create a binary file. Now that process of converting from ASTRA to Java involves a number of sort of transformations of the code. It's got essentially sort of predefined patterns or templates that are used based on the structures of rules and things like that. And one of the things that is done in moving from the ASTRA source to the Java source is that each program has a main method added to it that can be used to essentially instantiate the agent, an instance of the class, and start it running. The idea is that within ASTRA, when you compile ASTRA code into Java code, you're then able to run that ASTRA code directly, the same way that you can run a Java program. So you write your Java program, you run it. In ASTRA there is an equivalent, so that you can essentially write a Java program. You can write your ASTRA program, and once you've written your ASTRA agent, you can run your ASTRA agent directly, and you can run any ASTRA agent, okay, that you want to. The reason is because every ASTRA agent has a main method that is automatically built into it when the code is generated, and when you run your Java class file, you call the main method, which then runs the program. I'm not sure I'm saying that very well, so I'm going to try and show you some of this in this last video. So the way I've chosen, so over the years I've had a bunch of different implementations of ASTRA. I've done it in different ways. I've had command line tools where you can type ASTRA C and things like this, and I've had an integrated, I've had a plugin that's integrated into Eclipse. None of them have worked amazingly, and I suppose in the modern era, what you want to have the ability to put the generation of the ASTRA code into a pipeline so that you can automatically build and do CI/CD, so you can automatically compile and build your code and deploy it very easily. So in that spirit, what I've done is in the last few years, I've converted ASTRA to be something that can be built and compiled using the Maven build tool. Now, a lot of you will have heard of Maven. Anyone who's an undergraduate will have done a lab with me would have done the web development module last year and would have had an introduction to Maven. Anyone doing distributed systems will have had an introduction to Maven. For those of you that have not had an introduction to Maven, there is a lesson in the first week that I put up for the first week that will introduce Maven to you. I'm also going to show you how to use Maven in this last video. So Maven is a build tool. Maven is a command line tool, so it means that you have to run things often at the command line. There are integrations for Maven within tools like IntelliJ and Eclipse. If you want to use those, you can, but you'll have to learn how to do that yourself. I'm not going to teach you how to do it. The IDE that I use for building ASTRA code is the Visual Studio Code. That's the open source Visual Studio editor. This is VS Code here. Manage file. Now, one thing I provided for VS Code, which doesn't exist for anything else, is that if I can find my extensions, you can see that I have ASTRA support built in. So if you just type into the market ASTRA and search, you'll find ASTRA appears as one option. You can click on it. I mean, I've installed them, but you can install it, and that will give you basic syntax highlighting for ASTRA. Okay. Once you have that, you create a project, and in the project you create a POM file. So POM files are project object model files, and these are the files that contain the build script. That essentially these files tell Maven how to build code, how to build the project that you've created. Now I'm just going to come back onto this for a second. Now when you use Maven, with Astra, you know, essentially Maven has some conventions around where things are located. So Maven, there is a source folder, you have a project folder. In that project folder, you have a POM file, which I just showed you, and then in that project folder, you also have a source and a main. Okay, this is the main branch, or the main code base for the source, and you have /Java for your Java code. Now for Astra, I've introduced the source main Astra folder. Okay, so if I switch back to my VS Code, I mean this can be done with any. What this means that in this folder I have a folder called hello. In that I have a folder called source. In that I have a folder called main. In that I have a folder called, now the one we're going to need is Astra. Now if we're going to write a module, we need a module folder as well. But for this we just need the Astra folder. Okay, and when we create a POM file, what we do is we simply extend an existing base project that I've provided. Okay, it's a bit like the way Spring Boot works. Everything for Astra is in Maven Central. Okay, here's an example of a Maven POM file. I'm just going to pull across. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste it into here. Okay, so this is a basic Maven POM file. This POM file says, what does it tell us? It tells us that we've got this XML document. So it says it's a project. This is the version of Maven we're using. Now the group ID is kind of like an identifier for a set of programs. So I might say, for example, examples. This is all the examples programs that I'm using. Typically the group ID for serious projects would be an inverted domain name. So you say something like ucd.ie, or sorry, not ucd, ie.ucd, inverted. Yeah, that's a typical group ID is the domain name. That's used to identify the organization or the project or the general sort of suite of tools that you're working on. And then the artifact ID is a particular project name. So this would be hello. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my examples rather than using a domain name. So this is the hello example, and the version then is the version of this project. So the idea with Maven is that Maven, you can store each version. So when I move to version, I can save off Maven, I can package it, I can install it, and then I can move to version 1.0.1. Okay, and I can create a new version of my project, but I can still keep my old version. I can still save off my old version somewhere. So if I need to go back, so that if I've got code that depends upon my code, I can say, well, you should work with version 1.0.0. And when I'm ready, I can upgrade it, say, well, now you can work with version 1.0.1. Okay, so again, there's a lot more information on this within the Maven class. All I suggest you do for these things is that you leave the version at 1.0.0. You make sure that the artifact ID matches your folder. So this is the hello world example, so it's called hello, and the artifact ID is hello, and that the group ID matches is called examples for us. Now the next bit here is the parent. Okay, so this basically means that this project file, the POM file, is inheriting from another POM file that I created some point in the past. Okay, so the group ID is com.astra language because because this is Astra code, and the project file is called Astra base. That means that this Astra base project, okay, actually I can show you where it is. It's in here. So if we go into Astra language on Git, I'll show you the URL. So if you're interested, so git.com/Astra language. You can go and have a look inside Astra core. Here's all the projects that make up Astra. You can find Astra base, and this is the Astra base project. So I'm going to have a look in here. This is the project that I'm extending. Okay, so this project basically contains the licensing information, the developer information from me who built it. This has got all the stuff you need for doing uploading to Maven Central. But you'll find the core. So this project builds from the core project, which contains other things. It sets the default agent to be the main agent. It sets the default agent to be main. It sets up some basic dependencies. That's the sonatype is the way I get my stuff into Maven Central. And then this release stuff you could ignore, but then in the build folder you'll see that I tell it to copy all the Astra code from the Astra main, the source main Astra folder to into the resources folder. I also get it to do from the test folder, so it copies those things into my deployment folders. It copies Java, it copies any HTML stuff. I don't know why I'm putting that there. Obviously something from before. Then you've got a plugin here, which is my ASTRA plugin. It's got various endpoints for running unit testing, for compiling, for deploy, for for the compiling and for testing. So basically, and for running tests, this all integrates ASTRA into the build the project structure for Maven. And there's other few bits and pieces in here that I use. This is for building jar files with that you can use a bootable jar file, a runnable jar file, and then a default sort of a build process and so on and so forth. And here's the plugin installed for everything. So anyway, I don't know why I'm showing you this. I'm getting a bit tired, I think, at the moment. So this is my base project. The base project builds another project. It's got all the stuff you need to run a basic ASTRA project. And all you just, so because I've done all this before, and because this is uploaded into Maven Central, all you do is you write that 5 to 6 lines of code. That then refers to this project here. That then imports all the settings that I've put into this, and you have them accessible for you. So then you can run your code. So if I go into ASTRA and I create an agent called main for ASTRA, okay, I call it agent main, so it has the same name as the file, and then I can go initial init. I can go module console. I like to do that myself, and then I can say rule plus init console.println hello world. I save that. Okay, that's my project created. That's my little sample agent created. I then go to terminal. I go new terminal, and in here I type maven compile, and that calls it. Oh, what's happened now? Mouth and palm. Okay, there's probably some things to do with me using copying and pasting. Let me just see if it's this. Might be. I deleted some stuff from the project spec, so maybe I've been caught out by that, but we'll see what happens if we do that. Oh, that was it. Just bad characters in there. Okay, so I compiled it. So what you'll see here is it copied some files. It generated something. So what happened, if I go and look in the target folder, you'll see there's two files here. You'll see if I look in so the classes folder is created by the Java compiler. The gen folder is created by me. You'll see here that there is a main.java. This is the Java this is the Java code that correlates to the main code here, the main ASTRA program. So you see here, the generated code extends the ASTRA class. It's got the various sort of extension points. This says that it extends the agent. You can see a rule. You can see a goal event, goal init. You can see a block that says module console.main. So you can see somewhere there should be a main. I think it's down below. But here you say we have a module call which calls the console module, and it says println hello world, and there's some generated code here that basically this is actually the code being generated. Down here you see in the initialize that it creates an initial goal, and you see here in the fragment section that it's added the module console to the fragment. So this is all in places, and then down here you see these are all the bits that go into the creation of the agent, and down here you see that there's a main method that sort of sets up a scheduler. It basically transforms the array of arguments passed into the main into into a list of arguments that are passed. That I'm not going to explain where I use this at the moment, but it's a convenience thing that I do. It reads in the ASTRA name, so it says, okay, if there isn't one provided, use main. It creates an agent. It gives its initial goal called a main goal. Again, I'm ignoring that for the minute. And it schedules the agent on the scheduler, and that's it. So those 3 lines of that code there are what run an agent. You create an agent, you initialize it, and you schedule it to run. You need one more line, which is this line here, to set up the scheduler. Okay? So this is the whole the source code that's generated, and then if you look in the classes folder, you'll see that there is a main. That's the main part. Sorry, just checking. So there's your class code. I don't know what happened there. It should be compile. Hopefully it's going to work this time. I don't know what happened there. Yeah, so it did it anyway. I don't know what I did wrong this time. So basically, it created it. There's the generated code, and there's your main code created. And if I want to run it, I just have maven ASTRA :deploy. And then you see it prints out hello world. Okay? So what you need to be able to do is you need to be able to copy this, create one of these, a POM file. You create a source main ASTRA folder, and in there you write your main.astra, and every agent you write initially should be called main.astra. If you want to change it, then what you need to do is you need to go somewhere else. So again, you need to come look in here, just to remind yourself. You see astra.main. So if I copy this, and I go back into here, I can put my properties. I like to put it below. There is no ordering, I think, in it. Okay, so I can ASTRA hello. Okay, and I can call this hi boy. I don't know, make up silly names now. So I'm changing the name. So if I try and run this code, it says, wait. Okay, class not found hello. It can't find hello because I changed the name here to be hello. If I change it to main, again, and I run it again, it works, but now you see the name here has changed from main to Highbee because the name of the agent is now Highbee. Okay, if I go back to hello, if I want this to compile, what I need to do is I need to copy this, paste it, rename it to hello, go into here and I change this to hello, and I run it again. It's not going to work because I need to compile, deploy. See, now the hello class gets created, and we get hello world from Highbee. Okay, so again, I'm going to stop at this point. What I think I've shown you is I've shown you how to create a very simple structure. I think I've shown you how to set up your POM file. So you just download that from take that from the PPT. And make sure you indent properly, because there could be errors in the indentation. You can create your simple agent, looks like this. And in fact, what I'll do is I'll put this code up onto a zip it up and put it onto Moodle as well, so you have it. So you can use this as a starting point for your projects that you write. Okay, so I'll change this back to main. I'll delete the hello, maybe. And we'll do maven clean compile. There, so it's just compiled cleaning out, and I'll put that up, and now you're ready to go. Okay, so that's me finished.